So with thousands of tents on the market, it can be quite overwhelming choosing a tent that's right for you. Here are 8 things I wish I knew before purchasing my first tent. It would have saved me a ton of money and a ton of time. So the first thing to consider is, what size tent do you need? This is currently a 1.5 man that I use for the majority of my camps. Now I do love a 2 man as it's great for 2 people. It's also extremely spacious if you are on your own. Backpacking tents primarily come in a 1 man, a 2 man or a 3 man. 1 man's perfect if you're on your own, 2 man's great for 2 people or 1 person with a load of gear, and a 3 man is brilliant for 2 people, loads of gear and a dog. Okay, so the next thing you need to consider is what season do you plan on using your tent. Now tents come in primarily a 2 season, a 3 season and a 4 season, but I recommend getting a 2 season, as even in summer you're going to experience some high winds and probably some torrential rain. The next thing to consider is the pack size. Now as you can see, all these pack sizes are relatively similar, but that's because the poles are in each of these bags. Now, I like to store the poles on the outside of my bag, and I like to put my tent in a compression sack. This way I save a huge amount of room and it packs away neatly. Also, if your compression sack's waterproof, it's going to keep your tent nice and dry. The other thing to consider when buying a tent is, do you want a 1 wall or a 2 wall? Now as you can see, this is a 2 wall tent, meaning the condensation will build up on this layer. But the advantages with the 1 wall is it's considerably quicker to pitch and it's considerably lighter. But I will always go with a 2 wall tent, as that condensation, I find, is always a problem. So this tent you're looking at today is the Nortent Verm 1 by a Norwegian company called Nortent. Absolutely brilliant. Terra Nova and Hillenberg are equally as good, but if you're on a budget, I recommend something from OEX or Nature Hike. Just make sure you read the reviews first. Speaking of being on a budget, the next thing is cost. Now in my opinion, if you do buy a better quality tent, it will last considerably longer. Saying this, you can pick up brilliant tents second hand, and I purchased this tent for £400 and it retails at £600. But make sure if you are purchasing a tent second hand, you give it a thorough inspection before taking it home. The next thing to consider is design. How many doors do you want? How do you want the airflow to be? And do you want a bathtub floor? Now most good tents will come with a bathtub floor, and as you can see, this will prevent water spilling into your tent. Also, ventilation is crucial on any tent, especially a 4-season tent like this. You've got vents on either side and you've got 2 massive doors and massive vestibules to allow good airflow through the tent. And a bit of trivia for you, vestibule is entrance to the court in French. Also, when it comes to design, do you want a outer pitch first like this tent, meaning that you just pitch the outer and you can do this when it's raining, keeping all your gear nice and dry, or are you happy with an inner pitch first? Now my MSR Alexa 2 is an inner pitch first, which is brilliant, meaning you can just sleep in the inner on those summer nights, but when the rain rolls around, I'd much rather have an outer pitch first. And my final point, and one of the most important points, is weight. Now backpacking tents vary from 1 kg all the way up to 4 kg. Now in my opinion, you really need to take this in consideration. What do you plan on doing? If you're through hiking, try and get a tent that's around 1 kg. If you want to do some serious winter camps or some summit camps in storms, I recommend going for a 2 or 3 kg tent. Primarily find the 4-season tents are up in the 3 kg, whereas the 2-season backpacking tents are down around 1 kg. Thanks for watching guys, and I hope this video helped. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you in the next one.